Gentlemen, we are back with another episode of We the People, so we're just going to dive right down into the show and get started. Segment one. This week we're going to talk a little bit about how Donald Trump's campaign is totally spiraling out of control with the release of his video, his disgraceful video that was released last Friday. You're starting to see a lot of impact on that. The polls, he's dropping like a rock. And then we're going to talk a little bit about a lot of the women that are coming forward and kind of basically giving credibility to what his comments were. We're going to talk a little bit about Hillary Clinton and the media biasness that's ensued by that. So first off, Donald Trump in this disgraceful video. Of course, this video is disgusting, and he's paying the price for it. His campaign is done. We need to start getting used to the idea of Hillary Clinton as our president of the United States. As much as it kills me to say it, but that's what you get when you have two disgustingly awful candidates. That's kind of what happens. So, without further ado, let's take a look at that video where Donald Trump is. The video that sank Donald Trump's campaign boat.
You know, and
she used to be very, she's still very beautiful.
I moved on her, actually. You know, she was down in Palm Beach. I moved on her, and I failed. I'll admit it.
Whoa.
I did try and fuck her. She was married.
That's huge news, Sarah.
No, Nancy.
Yeah.
No, this was marriages. And I moved on her very heavily. In fact, I took her out furniture shopping. She wanted to get some furniture. I said, I'll show you where they have some nice furniture. I took her out furniture. I moved on her like a bitch, but I couldn't get there. And she was married. Then all of a sudden, I see her. She's now got the big phony tits and everything. She's totally changed her look.
She's your girl's hot as shit. In the purple.
Whoa!
Yes!
Whoa!
Yes, the Donald has scored!
Whoa!
Oh, my man! Wait, you gotta look at me when you get out of your legs.
Set this up.
That is very
You give me the thumbs
Look
up.
at you. You are a
You
piece.
gotta put the thumbs up. You gotta get the thumbs up.
Can't be too happy. First? Yeah, let me.
It's very
You
funny.
gotta give me the thumbs up.
You and I will walk there.
Oh my god.
Maybe it's a different one.
Better not be the publicist. No, it's her.
Yeah, that's her, with the gold. I better use some Tic Tacs just in case I start kissing her. You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the pussy. I can do anything.
Look at those legs. All I can see is the legs.
No, it looks good.
Come on, shorty.
Oh, nice legs, huh?
Oof, get out of the way, honey. That's good legs. Go ahead.
It's always good if you don't fall out of the bus. Like Ford, Gerald Ford, remember?
There's a little down below. Pull the hand.
That was Donald Trump being Donald Trump, and of course the news media ran with it, and they said that his comments were disgusting and nasty, and they were, and there's a lot of truth to that. And then of course Donald Trump came back and he tweeted an apology instead of making it a formal apology with a press conference and getting out in public and actually formally apologizing. He just did it on Twitter, which suggests that he's not really sorry at all. And then he came out in defense of his own comments, so it really wasn't even an apology to begin with, because you can't say I'm sorry, but it's just locker room talk, which is what he said. That was his excuse. That was the defense that he used to say these disgusting things. So he said that it was locker room talk. There really wasn't much to it. It was just guys being guys. And there is some truth to that, and I will be fair, and I'll give him credit for that there is truth to that. The problem that I have with it is that the majority of the guys that you're talking about when you say locker room talk or shop talk, I've heard guys just talking shop, or guys just being guys. The problem that I have with that is the guys that are just being guys, the guys that are in the shop or the guys that are in the locker room, aren't running for president. He is, and so he has to be held. He has to be held to a higher standard. And so that's why I do say that what he said is disgusting, of course, and I think it's indefensible. What he said, and I think it's disgusting what he said, and it's ruining his campaign. It has absolutely destroyed any chance that he ever had of winning, which was very slim to none to begin with. But moving on, so the fallout of this video was, and there was a video where Anderson Cooper, during the debate, he presses, the debate was last Sunday, Anderson Cooper presses Donald Trump, and there's a reason that Anderson Cooper presses Donald Trump, and we'll discuss it after we take a look at the video.
Just for the record, though, are you saying that what you said on that bus 11 years ago, that you did not actually kiss women without consent or grope women without consent?
I have great respect for women. Nobody has more respect for women than I do.
So for the record, you're saying you never did that?
I said things that, frankly, you hear these things I said, and I was embarrassed by it, but I have tremendous respect for women.
Have you ever done those
women
things?
Have respect for me. And I will tell you, no, I have not. And I will tell you that I'm going to make our country safe. We're going to have borders in our country, which we don't have now. People are pouring into our country, and they're coming in from the Middle East and other places. We're going to make America safe again. We're going to make America great again, but we're going to make America safe again. And we're going to make America wealthy again, because if you don't do that, it sounds harsh to say, but we have to build up the wealth of our nation. Right now, other nations are taking our jobs and they're taking our wealth.
Thank you, Mr.
And that's what I want to talk about.
Secretary.
All right, so you just heard Anderson Cooper there. Anderson Cooper was pressing Donald Trump on making sure that there was no action behind the words of Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, he's really good. He's solid up until the very end, and he says, and then he caves and he says, yes, no, there was no action. This is a political hit job, and I think this is the proof that this is a political hit job. I actually called this before it even happened. I told a coworker that as soon as I saw that, I actually played it for him, and I showed him, and I said, you know, this is proof right here that this is a politically motivated hit job on Donald Trump, and it's and I told him at the time, I think it was on Monday, you're going to start seeing women that are paraded out, and they're going to claim that Donald Trump has sexually assaulted them, and I think Anderson Cooper's pressing Donald Trump there is proof of that. It's premeditated. He wanted definitive evidence that Donald Trump said, no, I did not sexually assault any of these women. It's just locker room talk, but there was no action behind it. And I think that's the proof in the pudding there, if you will, that it was a political hit job on him. So now you're starting to see, no, I'm not Nostradamus. It's so obvious to see. That's how I guessed it. But now you're starting to see that my prediction come true, and that now these women are starting to come out full force, saying that Donald Trump sexually assaulted them. One saying that he sexually molested her on an aircraft. Another one saying that, yeah, a lot of beauty pageant women are coming out saying that, yes, he kissed me without my permission. That's just kind of what Donald Trump does. And the video that I played for you in the beginning of the show kind of proves that. I think, you know, he kind of spells it out that, yes, these are the kind of things that I do. And so my problem with the women that are coming forward isn't the validity of what they're saying. I don't question their credibility because honestly, nobody was there. I can't tell you whether or not what they're saying is true, and I never will be able to. My problem with it is that it's politically motivated and not motivation. Usually when a sexual assault victim comes forward, they have different motives for coming forward. So an obvious one would be to seek justice for the victimizer or towards the victimizer. So if I'm a victim of sexual assault, I want to see my predator go to jail and justice be served. Or another motivation might be for relief for myself. So if I'm victimized by sexual assault by a predator, I might want to see that person maybe apologize or what have you, just to create a relief system for myself so that I can feel relieved, kind of the weight lifted off my shoulder kind of thing. And those are typically, I would say, two of the major reasons why people would come forward. These women seem to be politically motivated, which is, I have a serious problem with that. I've known many people who have been sexually assaulted, and I think to use your victimization for political gain is extremely, I believe it's ethically and morally wrong. And so that is my issue with the women. And so you're starting to see a lot of the Trump people come out and they're trying to say that there's a lot of media biasness. Okay, so they're playing all these women that are coming out, they're playing that, they're playing Trump scandal, and they're not covering anything of what WikiLeaks had released of Hillary's campaign staff and all those emails that were released with them. My problem with that argument is that the media biasness, we already knew about it. We already knew that that was the case. But one of the other arguments that a lot of the pundits, the Donald Trump pundits, are trying to make is that they want to talk about all these women that are coming out that say that Donald Trump sexually assaulted them, but they don't ever want to talk about Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton and the rapists that she helped get off and all the women that Bill Clinton has been involved with. The problem with that argument is that we already knew that. The Hillary Clinton argument has been there for 20 years or longer, and so that's not a valid argument. There's nothing new there. With Donald Trump, this is new. This is new news. And so when these people come on, when these people get online or go on TV and they say, well, you're covering Donald Trump scandals, but you're not covering Hillary Clinton scandals. Well, Kellyanne Conway, it's Donald Trump's campaign manager. She goes on CNN and she does the same thing. So let's take a look at that video and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay, so he is describing something that seems to match with what Miss Arizona of 2001 said, what we've heard from some other pageant contestants. I mean, he's describing that himself. And yes, I understand that you are his current campaign manager, but you know, the purview of your job extends beyond that. He is responsible for what he's said in the past. What do you make of this? Of course, what do you make of this picture that's been painted here by the former Miss Arizona, Tasha Dixon, and by Donald Trump himself?
I can't comment on what she's saying because I'm not her and I wasn't in the pageant or any other pageant.
Okay, but your candidate is talking about how he did what she described.
Yeah, I heard you. Okay. Well, no, he didn't say what she described was pretty graphic and detailed. So let's not conflate the two. I heard what she said and I heard what he said. And the fact is that all you want to do, it seems, is talk about something he said 10, 15 years ago, and yet we never ever want to talk, particularly CNN, where we've offered up these women to you, we never want to talk to the women who were shamed and blamed by Hillary Clinton because they had sexual contact with their husbands, some consensual long-time affairs, of course, including in the White House, and then others victims of predatory conduct. That somehow is not relevant. But Donald Trump on Howard Stern's show is relevant. And you want me to believe that a critical mass
We've covered
of
it, Kellyanne. We've
agrees
covered
with
it on.
that.
I mean, I disagree with
not
you.
Really.
It's a fact. We have covered it on.
Fever pitch here.
Well,
Never.
Donald Trump is running for president. And we have certainly looked at your allegations and we have fact-checked them. We have fact-checked that. If you go on CNN.com, we've gone painstakingly through the very claims you're talking about, and we found that they were exaggerated. So I want to talk to you about your candidate.
I just saw Kellyanne Conway. She goes on CNN and she starts talking about Donald Trump and how the media is biased against Donald Trump, but not against, they don't want to talk about Bill Clinton and any of his scandals. Again, my point is that Bill Clinton has already been through his gauntlet. He's already been the president. He's out of office now. The damage is already done that he's done to the country. It's already been done. Now Hillary Clinton wants to be president. And I believe that to a certain degree it is relevant to Hillary Clinton. But at the same time, this is nothing. You're not going to win an election by bringing up stuff that people already know. So to the average Democrat voter or to the average Republican voter, when you say that Hillary Clinton is corrupt and that she helped get this rapist off 30, 40 years ago, and that Bill Clinton has had a plethora of girls that he's ran through, and he's got all these sexual assault charges, and oh, by the way, he had to pay a woman off. He had to settle in court to pay a woman off to keep her silent and to keep that story quiet, which ended up not being quiet because we know about it today. But when you bring up those arguments, that's stuff that we already know. We've already been through it. There is no shock value there. But when you're talking to voters and Republican, Democratic voters, and you're telling them, well, Donald Trump just raped 30 women, did you hear about that? Now that's a news story and nobody knew about that. So now that's why it's so big. And I think that's why you're starting to see so much media coverage of it. I don't think that's media biasness. That's just them going with the story of the day. Now where it is media biasness is the fact that they're giving that more value that scandal more value just to cover up Hillary Clinton's email leakage, the emails leaked for Hillary Clinton's campaign staff. I think that's where you're starting to see the media biasness. All they're doing by propping up this Donald Trump story and not covering the Hillary Clinton one, all they're doing is giving Hillary Clinton the cover that she needs so that she can tiptoe to the White House. And I think that's the major media biasness. That's kind of the proof in the pudding there. And I think that's the problem. And so going back to the scandal, I want to address some of my critics or some of the people who have criticized me before, because I've been open and honest and said that I'm not going to vote for Donald Trump. I can't morally do it and feel good about myself. So I want to address some of the things that were said to me for that and about that. From the very beginning, when I said that I wasn't going to vote for Donald Trump after he was nominated, I got a lot of flack and a lot of crap for saying, for people saying that, well, you're just an idealist and your principles dictate you too strong. They steer you too strong into one direction to make you you're crossing over into the stubborn territory. And for that, I would just like to ask those people who were basically were criticizing me and saying that I was at fault for not voting for Donald Trump, and saying that the vote for not voting for Donald Trump, that's a vote for Hillary Clinton, which it is, and I fully acknowledge that. But just to those people, I'd like to ask them, what do you say now? I mean, this is obviously your guy. Are you still behind him after he could have potentially raped and molested women and sexually assaulted women? What do you say now? To all the Donald Trump supporters out there, what do you say now? What is your defense to this? I'm curious to know what is my fans and my audience, what is your take on this? And if you're a Donald Trump supporter, I'm even more curious. How do you defend this? I think this is a critical election, but I think it's more critical to understand why we ended up with the candidates that we did, as opposed to trying to criticize each other for, well, you're not voting for Donald Trump, so you're the reason why Hillary Clinton's there. No, why don't we just try to understand why we ended up with Donald Trump to begin with? We can start there, try to find some common ground especially particularly in the Republican Party, what we want in our candidates, and then we can go out and chase them. And we know what candidates we're looking for, and when that candidate comes, we can acknowledge that, yes, they are the conservative that we want, and they will be our future nominee. And so, just to give you an example, one person that I would look out for in 2020 would be Greg Abbott. I think that he was going to make a fantastic president. Greg Abbott, of course, being the governor of Texas, he's a great governor. He was Attorney General to the state of Texas before, and he's just an overall great guy, and he's a true solid conservative. So I'd be on the lookout for him for 2020, maybe 2024, just depending on how that goes. So again, I'm curious on what those Donald Trump supporters have to say now, and how they can excuse the fact that Donald Trump himself Donald Trump is causing his campaign to implode in and of himself. It's on him. It's on his shoulders. It's not on my shoulders. I'm the voter. It's on his shoulders. He's the one that said this. I wasn't on the bus talking to Billy Bush there in the video. That was Donald Trump. It wasn't me. So how do you defend that? How do you defend the implosion and Donald Trump losing up to this point? Because it was told from us since day one that Donald Trump is the one that can win. Donald Trump's he's the only one that can win. He's the only one that can beat Hillary Clinton. And the polls told us different then. The polls are definitely telling us different now. So how do you defend that? To all those people who came out and said that I'm an idiot for not voting for Donald Trump and I'm an idiot for not supporting Donald Trump, and for all those people that came out to me and said, well, he's the only one that can win against Hillary Clinton, I want to hear your reaction now. And yes, this is kind of an I told you so moment, but I think it's a conversation worth having. So that pretty much concludes segment one. Again, please, I challenge you guys to get out on those platforms that I've provided for you. And since I've delivered a question or I've kind of started a discussion out with you guys, I'd like to hear that feedback from you guys and what you think. So. That concludes segment one. We're going to jump right into segment two, where we're going to discuss Article 3 of the Constitution. And so let's go ahead and jump right into that.
this world I am unimportant, just because I have nothing to give. So you call this your free country? Tell me why it costs so much to live.
All right, so this is segment 2 of our show, and this is the segment where we go over the Constitution in hopes to educate the audience and educate people out there on the Constitution. Remember, this is your document. This is the people's document. It is imperative that we understand what is in these documents. This week we have Article 3, which is a really short article. There's only 3 sections to it. The first section, this is Article 3, Section 1. The first section covers basically the judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court. So it's kind of outlining the structure there a little bit. And it's just talking generically about how the court is compensated. It says it says that their compensation shall not be diminished during their continuance in office. So just kind of a general statement there within Section 1, Article 3. Section 2 gets a little bit more detailed, and that talks about how to how far the power shall extend in the cases. It basically states there that under the first clause, it states that the judicial branch is it's to extend to all cases that arise under the Constitution and the laws of the United States. So anything outside the Constitution, outside the constitutional boundaries, shall not be heard by the Supreme Court. They don't have any bearing. They're there to they're there to interpret the Constitution and the constitutionality of any law that is made. So if Congress decides that they're going to pass a law, the Obama administration at this point, or the executive branch, the administration that's in charge of that executive branch at that time, can take that law to court basically and question the constitutionality of that law, and vice versa. Congress can do that, or a state can do that. It underlies that in Section 2. Any state-to-state conflict, if Texas has a problem with New Mexico and they've got some issues going on, then they can take each other to court. That would go to a Supreme Court level. A citizen versus a state, for instance, the Heller versus, I think it ended up being Heller versus the United States. So that would be the United States going to court against a single citizen. You can also do that against a state, and that kind of outlines that in Section 2. Now, basically, Section 3, treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. No person shall be convicted of treason unless on the testimony of 2 witnesses to the same overt act or on confession in open court. So that kind of talks about treason there, and it goes over, and it basically covers that. So only 3 sections to Article 3, really quick and painless, really. I think, just a little side note, I think the Constitution or the Supreme Court has overruled, has overstretched its role in today's society a lot, and hearing a lot of the social issue kind of cases that we've had. I think if it doesn't apply to the Constitution and directly apply to the Constitution, the Supreme Court has no business hearing it. And so if you know anything about me, you know that I am a person that wants the federal government in or out of my life as much as possible. Every aspect of our lives is governed by the federal government, and I want that entity or the government to become as small as possible. I feel that I am an adult and that I can make my own decisions based on that. I don't need a federal government hovering over me, telling me how to live my life, and I definitely don't need a Supreme Court basically telling me on a social issue how I need to feel and what's justified and what's not, if it doesn't pertain to the Constitution. Now, there are gray areas when a law is passed. A lot of times there are gray areas that need to be interpreted, and that's what the Supreme Court is for. That's not what they have been used for in recent or in modern times. And so we need to get back on track when it comes to the Supreme Court and a lot of the district courts. We need to get political affiliation out of the courts. A Supreme Court judge should not be a liberal or conservative. They should be more I'm just a constitutionalist. I'm here. I'm objective, and I'm here to interpret the Constitution. If it doesn't apply to the Constitution, then I don't care. It's as simple as that. So we're going to go to section 3, or segment 3, where we make fun of our liberals. We do our funny video, and I'll see you in segment 3.
Get over it. Get over it. All this running and crying, pitching a fit. Get over it. Get over it.
All right, so we're here in segment 3. In segment 3, I've got a great clip for you, a great video for you. It's a combination between Jesse Waters and Jay Leno. They go out and they interview some Americans. They ask numerous amount of questions. So we're going to jump right into that video and take a look at how dumb America has gotten, and in hopes to educate our population a little bit better and our civil society a little bit better, so that we feel comfortable voting, and basically so that we're basically just so we're not idiots walking around as drones or robots. So let's take a look at that video and hopefully have a laugh.
What was the Alamo?
A place where a battle was fought.
A battle between who?
The Mexicans, the Americans.
All right, and who won that battle?
The Americans.
The Americans.
Sure. Texans, no.
No, they didn't win that one. No. What was the famous phrase?
Remember the Alamo.
Remember the Alamo. Apparently not.
Who did America fight in the Revolutionary War?
The French? No.
That's a good question. I don't know.
China.
China?
Wow, I feel really dumb. Was it the French?
Who did America fight?
Revolutionary War? Ourselves. Whoa, North versus South, the Confederate versus the Union.
That was the Civil War.
Oh.
Britain. Britain?
Right across there?
Mm-hmm.
That's Great Britain.
Really?
Can you name a country that borders the United States?
A country?
Mm-hmm.
Oh
What college did you say you go to?
I go to Saddleback.
Saddleback College. Okay.
What was George Washington's job?
George Washington was one of the presidents.
Which president?
He was the second president after Lincoln. He was a general or something. He didn't work with horses, did he?
God bless you.
Thanks, you too.
How many U.S. senators are there?
Too many.
Too many?
Wait, there's like 52, isn't there?
52. Why do we have 52?
Because there's 52 states.
Because there's 52 states. How many senators are there? One. There's just one senator.
12.
12? No.
2.
No, it's 100.
100. Of course.
Who bombed us in Pearl Harbor?
Damn, that's a tough question. Yeah. Was it China?
China?
I don't know.
Close.
Korea, right? No, I don't think Korea.
Not Korea.
No. Russia? No.
Not Russia.
Wow.
Was it the Koreans? Am I getting close? Japan.
Very, very good.
Can you name a country that borders the United States?
Europe.
Europe.
No, that's a continent.
No, that's a continent.
I thought this was supposed to be fun. Fun.
Who is that?
President of the Catholics?
President of the Catholics?
Yes.
He is the president of the Catholic Church.
Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan.
So that was our stupid Americans video of the week. I think they did a really good job highlighting some of the dumb Americans. Now, I guess to be fair, a lot of people are being asked this on the beach, on the streets. In all fairness, when you're out with your family or you're out on the beach, or I'm sure a lot of these people were drinking, but in all fairness, when you're out in that type of environment, you're probably not thinking the most clearly. You know, your brain isn't necessarily on U.S. history when you're out at the beach, relaxing, drinking a beer with family or friends, or having a good time. So I think that's probably, to be fair. So this is the most extreme dumbing down of America at their most extreme, or at their extreme worst time, at the worst time to be asking them. So I think that's important to note. But I would hope that the majority of my audience would be able to answer these questions. They're pretty simple questions, and questions that every American should know. Anyway, so that concludes today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, remember to engage on the platforms that I've provided for you. Remember to smash that subscribe button, like the video. If you liked it, dislike it. If you disliked it, please leave me a comment and let me know why you disliked it, or if you disagreed with anything that I said, please engage with me. Let me know why you disagreed, and I look forward to hearing from you. So this has been episode 5 of We the People, and I am your host, Justin.